Hello, everyone. I hope you're fine. Welcome, everyone, from, I think, many places in the world. I see many people from different places in Canada, US, and Europe. So we are so happy to be with you. Sound is okay for everyone? It's good? Perfect. So we are so happy to be with you. So we do today just a short talk about how we can use meditation to find more happiness in our lives. Also in difficult times, how we can use difficult times to find more happiness with meditation. So today, Lama Samten is a Tibetan monk. He was born in Tibet, and at the age of 15 years old, he went to the Ganden monastery in Tibet. And after, at 20 years old, he went to India to make, as His Holiness Dalai-lama, to go to India and also to complete his studies in Buddhist philosophy. And after, when he completed his studies there in 1997, after he was invited to come in Canada and US to share his knowledge, they went for 1 year with a group of 10 monks in Canada and US for a tour with their monks from their monastery, Garden Jangtse. And after he saw a lot of interest of people in the West to learn more about meditation and Buddhist philosophy, so he decided to stay here. So now it's more than 20 years is in Canada. So now today we are in Toronto from Paramita Center here. So we are so happy to be with you. Welcome, everyone.
Okay. Hello, how are you? Trashidele to you. So my English is not enough to traffic this time. I do in a Tibetan language, my language. But you are patient with me. Anyway, I'm so happy you are here to just this privilege to see, to share with you. Thank you so much. And 당보다는 간주 내 셈벌 흘루 샤야갱에게 and 나 생기 시대기 신도지 요긴스.
So first, we will begin with a short time for meditation. I will just do a short chanting, so to help the mind to pacify and to stay in peace. So we do a short moment like that while I will be chanting.
Okay. Then after we do meditation, few minutes to inner peace with the respiration.
Yeah, breathing.
Yeah, breathing. Yeah, breathing meditation. When they finish my chanting, yeah. Dombo jumde de jimbo da jumbo yang da wan dong we san ye riwa dan sha su dembo de wa jiwa ji de jimbo ji won do wa ka lon ju wa la na me wa la da me na dombo san ye jumde de be je wa sha ja tu wa la cha de lo chu du ja so 강계 독재니 존에 따와 담제 방배체레 담배 슌네 돈제 고덤데라 차체로 디바지야미 자신 개와 부숨 소바데 랑게 셈네 용소드 디네 산제 덴바이 소놈디에 담제 세바이 공방도나 경계 라드네 가다나다 제베 랍주 지베 졸렌 조와 조와라 쇼 셈제 담제 대와단 대베 유단 덴바주 둥에단 둥에제 유단 자와 주제 둥에메베 대와단 미대와주 니레 차단 예단 제베 땅냠라 네와라요 sa shi bu shi shu shi me do dang zhi ra lin chi yin de yan ba di san je xin du mi di bu ba ju wu nam da xiu na ju ba shu yi na gu ru ren na men de la ga mi ya da ya to be cha wa nam se jin sa jin ja jin gu wa gun du sang bu wo se da gun ne cho la cha che. Okay, thank you so much. You meditation with me now. This time. Thank you. The Tiringing and Zogene share the Sanje Gene, the Loni Dong of Jashin Simbe Tendegeta, Keva, Sanje Gene, Kusung Tugi, Yonde, Tone, Teladaji, Dumbada Muba, Tendegi, Shidu Juni, Shidad object in the Zum.
So today we give short introduction about Buddhist philosophy teaching coming from the Buddha. So talking in the way that probably you already know a little bit about Buddha's teaching, the quality of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind quality, like this.
Kusung tugi yonden tezo choranzo da peji mangchewegi to tsawada shenyi injire ine da kajik tela jik tona jen ring teyore kajik ne jik yam tsazar ji pediyores da kandar choranzo diring de yam tsaza ji pedinanda da karina choranzo la ne jik na lola ine jik yaje tanyage tablam sabajik kogap sabajik lam sabajik.
So these qualities of the Buddha that we say the quality of his body, of his speech, of his mind. So probably some of you already know or are very interested into these Buddha's teachings. Also, maybe some of you are, example, curious about what is this Buddhist philosophy. So anyway, today the objective is that we hear something that will benefit our mind so we can progress to our path to happiness.
Subject of the machine
so usually when I begin my talks, I always begin with an introduction about the Buddhist philosophy, but today I will just be very brief about that.
Nangshu Slamdubala, Jigya, me Mambo Jiggy, the Chulugi, Rig Double Jigania, some cigarettes in a Nangshu in the two Ribation look at Tini Riction, Senkam Ribbon of Jeremadove, Chuludan, and the Diaga Yomares.
So probably that nowadays, some people, when they hear about the Buddhist approach, they think about some kind of a religious perspective. But actually, Buddhist teaching is more an inner philosophy. So this is the main aspect we should try to understand. Buddhist teaching is really like inner philosophy.
Yeah. That tendave ane nangshuge tini dendege rikshung or tende rikshung degeda zu yonden dabode karayarsene da zu rangyuge ane jig mideva rangule mideva sonyengi nyumu bate ane da jig mebso go dig kapde of the rest.
So, and what is the purpose? The goal of this philosophy is to diminish and overcome whatever prevents our happiness inside.
Kendawe rangula mideva sonyengi nyumu bate meba soyage ko tablama imba inza nyumu bate meba so tu matude ane sosola rale diyo res nganzo kaduina dani dage gonsi dubara re madobe chige tendege ane jig yujen jigla ane monum jaya dan tendege je yomares.
So this inner philosophy that the purpose is to overcome our inner cause of problem and to find happiness. So who can do that? Who can achieve that? Only ourselves personally. There's no like external being or source that could do that for us, like praying for externally support. actually this more comes from our inner, on our inner work. So this was just a brief introduction about this teaching. So we will now talk about the subject of our talk.
충중 요바데 부담 요바데야 즉 텐데게 강행게 샤완도 만로와 대쪽으로 진행게 텐데게 탐람 곰신이 샤레스.
So today our topic of the talk will be when we have difficult times, when we have adversities, difficulties, how we can use this situation through the power of meditation to increase and to develop our happiness and to not fall to the prey to this problem and to be completely dominated by our problem.
텐다웨 탑람게 난조게 네 낭초 릭슝네 셰베 곰신이들 로 콤발지야들라 아네 제 롭존다버 제 지투바 이네 테네 텐데게 나란도나 제 대와 제가 유바테 강에 trendu발라 까두기 샤와나 바데 네 멘조바 코까투그레스 텐더베게 나란조게네 다 투삼체네 곰 제가 냠네 로 장게네 오 텐데게 나란조 대와 강 유바데 동에 강에 체외갑라 코기 샤와 만조 코 슈란다 시세 가데 인자 이런 곰데 계셔버리레스.
So this tool used in Buddhist philosophy that we call meditation is to be used in this way. When we have already inside of us our happiness, so when there's difficulty, how to not let the mind go under the power of this difficult situation and to be able to not go to the suffering because of that, but to keep our inner happiness. So this meditation actually comes from the preparatory stages that we call learning and thinking. And after we can use this meditation to do that.
아니 까브링 알안조 제 벨hul로 제 기보 제 디기 나부 텐데베 제 기베 깝 텐데라 얘네 제야 루부베 텐데게네 강에 망보지 얘네 태기도 와서 루부베 강에 망보지 태기도 와서 텐데베 루부베 강에 대 텐데게 제 마지콜 텐데게 텐데 말이고 유제는 되네 용기 요베인자 디 루부베 강에 용세 유데 뉴몽발레 용기 요레스 뉴몽바테 메바소야게 자발라 아네 다곰 아네 텐데게 곰라 되네 어텐데 뉴몽바 메바소고 요레 텐도발라 나란조 다 곰라 토나다 직대지 콜라 용화로 좀 마통베네 가두이나 나란조 대와테 동행게 다시나
So sometimes we are very relaxed, happy, we are well, we are peaceful, and happen some difficult situation, some problems. So these problems, difficulty or adversity we have, they don't come from like in a magical way, without any kind of cause or any kind of interdependency. All phenomena are interdependent. So this difficulty we have, this kind of pain or difficulty is coming from a source inside of us of what we call mental afflictions or some kind of negative emotions. That's what will get the result of some kind of suffering and difficulty. So the meditation we're talking here is that we don't go onto the power, dominated by the power of this mental affliction and emotion, but we can know how to apply meditation so we keep happy and not be disturbed by this difficult situation.
Pene ngaranzo jik lusim ni lhuwe kabla tendege jik kadung rabu tendege da nyongsi gres. Ti kadung nyoya de ane yuje nyumung bal dene yongyo res. Nyumung bal teya awa tendege ne dadu druba zimbe danjine yongyo res.
Sometimes we have some sometimes we have some kind of emotion, so coming in our mind, and we also feel in our body. So they don't come from something like independent, but they all come from interdependent, their own cause. So they come from some kind of mental affliction.
nyumungba tegi chewe ane ranjinzinda tendegi jigda tendebe da jigjingna ngamra la soba danji tegi chene ranjinzinda jigda mongo jendu bala ane rangi digi tu tuksha gayo res.
And the cause of all kinds of negative emotion we have is based upon our mind self-grasping or self-cherishing, or we call also the view of the transitory collection. So these are creating the problem of the emotion and after some pain that we experience. So this is what stops or disturbs our happiness.
Tendawe jigsim tendege ane ranjinze glode yongse tawade danjine yongyoares. Ti danji di meva sobala gomge nane shirabgi gomusidu dami tokbe tendege dadu zimbe lode dadu meva druban zimbe dami tokbe shirab sidu bala gomge ke shishu nyingburabade dami tokbe shirab gomeares.
So also all our kinds of fears or stress or anxiety, they come from what we call the grasping to a self. So the best way, the very good way to overcome this self-grasping of ignorance is through the wisdom that realize the non-existence of this independent self.
No dabude ene shine sinye da lamji go lamji demik dabude da shine res do gumdi shine res.
So this meditation of wisdom, of realizing what we call selflessness, this is what we call special insight. So the kind of container or foundation of this practice of special insight meditation is what we call calm abiding.
텐다베 시내단 학동게 곰 티니게 테네 나란조라 텐데게 디지 템부 요바테 텐데게 다제 강엔 체베깔라 강엔게 숑와라 마담바체 구 까도니 베네 슐로게 슈라난 시제제 심투니인데 안에 곰 티니레스네 곰 테도라 토나시투바네 나란조에네 다제 강엔 체도바오데 강엔 테라 세네 랑게 디지데 If
we know how to practice these two kinds of meditation, calm abiding and special insight that we call shamatha vipassana, so we will be able in the different situation in our life when we face difficulty, to keep the small happiness we have in our mind and to not lose it, to not be dominated by the affliction. A little bit like example, we have a fence or a dam. So this will prevent the flood of water coming to our side. So the same way, if we know how to use these two qualities of calm abiding, special insight, we will not be flooded by negative emotion and we will keep our happiness.
다 텐라 손자 다 드링한도 셰게 사제데니 텐데게다 둥에 에네 게네 랑게 디지라 미투베 디지진인데 첵다 에네 텐데게 에네 디지디 둥엔 밀룽바야 쫌닝게 아네 곰스도 바레 디지당 곰니 도네 셰인 사제니 셰긴 방보 디지고데 셰긴.
So today we will speak about two main things. So the happiness. So this happiness that we want, so that prevents the arising of the suffering, and also the way we use to do that, to keep this happiness and increase this happiness, that we call the meditation. That's the two things we'll talk about. So first, I will explain what means happiness in Buddhist philosophy. So first of all, maybe from different perspective, we are all different sentient beings. So there will be different perspective or vision about what is happiness according to each one of us. But in Buddhist philosophy, what is happiness? Actually, this is what we call an aspect of the mind, or sometimes we translate by a mental factor, some things that accompanies the mind. And this aspect of the mind that we call happiness has three characteristics. So as every aspect of the mind, there are three characteristics that we call, one is the object, one is the subject itself or the aspect of this subject, and the third one is the function of this state of mind. So if we have in our mind the presence of this mental factor that is accompanied with these three characteristics that we will explain, so we can see that we have happiness in our mind. But maybe sometimes if something that we think is happiness, but that doesn't possess these three characteristics, maybe looks like happiness, but maybe we say that's like kind of illusory happiness.
Oh, yes,
like a contaminated form of happiness.
Geza mayimbe shen simjena nuzi la mingne sosoge digi yin yaga togo du samdonyeng tendege be simchuk chemboge shena ane miba de shena nuzi jenge o tende digi jeju tango de digi mares jeju tango de res geza ne miba res deveju.
So the first of this characteristic is what we call the object. Okay, so object here you have to think just the relationship subject-object. So the aspect of the mind of happiness is the subject, but the object of this state of mind of happiness. So the object should be a cause of happiness, what we call like a virtue. A virtue or something positive should be the object of the mind of happiness. Sometimes, for example, it's possible that some people are confused and they think, for example, I will hurt this person. And we think about hurting this person and feeling happy to be able to hurt this person. So maybe it can look like happiness, but this doesn't correspond to the real definition of happiness. Happiness should be always related to something positive or virtuous. So that's the object of happiness.
무슨하면도 다 란신라고데 가르치 고르세네 베네라니 드웨 텐데 슈라 촉시 유버지고 그래스 촉시에서네 랑게 드웨 추 강이 바텔라 강 토바텔라 촉시에서네 참라고 유니지 고르마도베 두배 시원도 참균이 매도 년게 된대게 미과데 게달의 미과이네야 디지 연구 말했어.
So the nature itself, the number one. So the aspect itself of happiness, or the nature itself of happiness. So the second characteristic of happiness is the nature itself, or the aspect itself of the subject happiness. Should be the thing that we desire or look for. There should be in the mind some kind of satisfaction or contentment. Because even if it's something positive that we look for, if there's no some kind of, in our mind, some kind of limit or contentment or satisfaction for this kind of positive thing, also will not be correspondent to the definition of happiness.
텐데 대화신들아 되게네 미바단 텐데게 모디 요베네야 거기 칠레라 동에 까드니지 까투미지고 그래서 동에를 뵙고 까투미지고 그래서 동에 맵지고 그래서 동에 요데베 텐데 칠레 당문인 참배나 그 칠레데 마참배네 대화신이 참여 말했어.
So we need this kind of object, this kind of subject to make correspondent to the characteristic of what is happiness. But we need also the third, which is the function of happiness. So the happiness function should be to prevent, to stop the arising of suffering. So even if the two first characteristics are present, but this feeling cannot stop the arising of suffering, this is not what we can call happiness.
텐다베 체주 숨단 덴베 심중대 텐데게 란주라 공발 제바 제바 제발라야 데네 되게 제 탑람데 안에다 몸실라니데레스 실라니데 때네 텐데게 대와 체주 숨데 제거데 디 대와 되게 데네 란이 강에 까두레스 강에는 미체바 어디게 강에 까두레스 탑람 약쇼도 몸제 곰기 미유로부터 텐데게 대와데 톱선에 아니 강에네 다 제도요레스.
So this mental aspect, this mental factor or aspect of the mind that we call happiness, how can we increase it? It's through the power of meditation. Meditation, which is included into the two kinds of meditation. So one is to develop the calm abiding. One is the special insight. So if we can practice these two kinds of qualities of calm abiding and special insight through meditation, we will be able to create more and more happiness and to prevent more and more pain and suffering. So that's the way we talk here.
다 된도 가란도 고야 되네. 아니 디지레스. 먹어야 되네. 아니 까두드레스. 다 된데게 까두 미녀야 뇨 미고바 디지디 토베하게 탑데 곰레스. 다 데르데는 돈다 데레스.
So in brief, what we want is only what makes us happy, but the happiness. What we don't like is the problem and difficulties, and the way to create that, to achieve that, is through the power of meditation.
다 텐데베 간족 미유게 대화 텔라야 간족게 낭쇼 흉내 셰베네 타두게 대화다 내가게 대화세네 대화되는 림바 망보셔레스 내가 텔라야 림바 망보셔 타두 텔라야 림바 망보샤죠. 그래서 두베네 내가다 타두스니 샤죠레스.
So what we call happiness in Buddhist philosophy context, there are many categories and many levels. For example, there are two main categories. One is the temporary happiness. One is the deep or ultimate happiness. Also, each of these categories, they can be subdivided in many categories.
땅아란도 텐데게 디지데 타두게 디지데네 폐지에 아란도 창만게 타두게 디지데라 캬바 요사 말레스 직바 인사레스 타두게 디지데 내가게 아니 디지데라 아란도 창만아 아니 로와 소소게 감다 무바게 무베 왕게 디지 폐지 텐데게다 카가 소소소게 텐데게다 디지라 릭망고지 샤쇼서레스 내가 디지라 릭망고지.
For the ultimate kind of happiness, probably it will be the same thing for all of us. If we can achieve that, it will be experimented in the same way. But for temporary happiness, so probably according to each of us, because we are different individuals, So maybe there will be different kinds of this kind of temporary happiness because we are different.
Peshashagine, Singegi, Negabgi, Digi of the La, Nagain, Goririsu, Trasha, Tulomabo Conse, or Tendega Deade, Thing Negatigiris, Negigi, I Choranzo Paging, Choranzo Samala, Neg Digidi, Paging, Digi, Imba Paging, Choranzo Easy, Jekale Cabore, Ya Choranzo Gaya, Tendege, Nala Mogove. And Digi Mamboji, Yan Choranzo and Yoya Yores, then Aranzo Sosoge, come the Muwange, so Digi, Tama Digi, Nega Digi Inza, Nega Digi, or Nega Digi, or Tendex that Mango, so come the Mubage, Shashores.
So the temporary happiness probably is different for all of us. For example, what makes me happy personally is when I shave my head and when I wear my red clothes. But this is probably something that would not make you happy, actually. And also from your side, you're probably doing so many activities or project, whatever, that if I did, maybe I would not be happy. So it would be different for all of us. So we can see that for this kind of happiness, this kind of satisfaction, maybe we have different tastes and there's different situation.
Pena, Tingsang Anzo, and Kashe Chilega, Shimili Maga. And Kaji Shimiliga, Chile Maga. Kaji Chishimi Nigala Gani, Kaji Nigala Magani. Tende Ring Mangosh Dugas. This is Tangmal Sosugi come down, Muvagi or Dewajik race. Into Bala Nega Dewatella, that Kanda Ring Mangosh Shacho race, Sosugi Gamaga Tony, come down Muvangi Shacho race.
For example, maybe some of us, we like dogs. Some, but don't like cats. Some people maybe like cats, but don't like dogs. Some maybe of us, we like dogs and cats. Some of us, maybe we like neither dogs, neither cats. So like this, it depends on each of us. So different things will make us happy or not, depending on each of our personality.
Yeah. That Kajini and the Togu La and the Togu Zaya Gadoni. Kajin the Togu Baya Gadoni. Mango Yoris, so come to Muvagadi, the Nega Dewadella, Tajing Mango Yoris.
For example, sometimes some people are happy to meet new friends, but some people also are happy to leave some friends. So there's different kinds.
Nega Dewadella, that Nangjo Rixune Chevine, and then Nega Dewadella, and Nisha Nantigres.
So probably we can say that for temporary happiness, there's two categories.
Yeah. Chogodan, Chomodan, Legadan, Tendege, Kungsing, Tendege, Rabe Gabla, Trove, Dewajik Be, Namjuda Mandazege, Tendege Kalashim Budabodan, Tendege, Namjuda Mandazege, Chenduvala, Trove, Dewajik Dan.
So there's two kinds of temporary happiness. One is related to some example, unusual or exceptional situation. For example, we work all year long. So when we have 2 weeks of holiday, so we feel so happy. This is exceptional situation, this kind of situation. And also there is some kind of daily, day by day, we have this happiness following us. Also, this is another category.
Dawanda was it. Dawa Shena Mandaziraba, Penangaranzo Jeg Nane, Mengan Ro, Tendegi Shakju of Jeg Nyangachambu, Shakju said. T Shakju de Lamdo Juxe, Menganama, Toin Duvala, Gay Shiki Yonguduas, or Tendede, Jeg Dan and Zuge, Deve, Dawalan and Digre, Trove Dawalan and Digres. That kind of Dungaji Dumine Tedder is Kungan, Kotendegi, Menganama, Toin Duvala. 이나 그 동행에 제발해서네 그 동행에 제여 말해 양조 동행 ranche res ina nega ko shakjo robode lamlong chungmenza 꼭 가시긴가 잘도 왔어. 어텐데게 대화를 마무리해야 돼.
So, for example, the first kind of temporary happiness that we could call like joyful experience, joyful happiness, is, for example, when we had some kind of difficulty, some kind of pain, and when this pain is relieved, so we have like a different feeling happening because this kind of first suffering is disappeared. For example, if we had a sickness and we're waiting for the surgery, so the day we have the surgery, we wait for that after surgery is finished, and after everything is solved, our sickness is gone. So we very, very feel happy and relieved. So this kind we call joyful happiness because this kind of more, we call that in Buddhism, like suffering of suffering. There was like a very clear and strong kind of suffering. So this experience when stops and get rise to opposite feeling, so looks like very joyful experience. So actually, this is not like the relieving of all suffering. There's still some problems there. But at this time, we feel like this one suffering is gone. So we call this temporary joyful happiness.
대외 대화생님도 저베 대화데 대화 전부데 네 라니게 시발라 둥행게 둥행 시구레스 나란도 둥행게 둥행데 마시베네 어텐데게 대외 대화도 저베 대화생인데 유레제 두고 말때는 나란도 둥행 시구야데 개 전부레스 둥행 시베네 캡상요레스.
If we don't understand clearly this kind of first suffering that we call the suffering of suffering, the more evident kind of suffering, it will not be possible or easy for us to experience and to be able to understand the nature of this opposite side. So we call the joyful happiness, or we could call also the happiness of happiness. So actually, in Buddhist philosophy context, it's very important to understand suffering because this understanding will help us to achieve happiness.
다 된데 ngaranzola 니르시 남라마네 gonda 마니아 파도 다 간다 추도 니시 잡시다 ngaranzola 대화지 요리디 nganzo 대화데 nganzo 통교요 말해서 ngaranzo 가디나 말이고 관계 둥에시다 삼지 되게 요래서 이 둥에데 안에 규룹의 둥엔다고 지금 nganzo 생기요 말해서 ngaranzo게 규룹의 둥에데 둥에에 바시에서네 아니 저거야 남난도 벌라 오 텐데지 대화요 바 시행용으로스 된동안한적에 어디 둥행게 둥행다 규르베 둥행데서 시고바디 개체모 대시베이네 내가 벌라 대화요 바데 통그레스 아 내가 대화요 통그레 대 통마던데 둥내가 그 둥에 시마시라 갈레디오레스.
So also there is the daily experience of happiness. For example, we have many things in our lives that contribute to our happiness. But sometimes people, they forget about this kind of positive experience they have, like having a home, having a place to sleep, having food to eat, and whatever it is. So from morning to evening, they just think about more suffering or problems or negative things. So it's kind of, we forget about the positive things we have in our life. So if we understand this kind of opposite, we call the suffering of change, so we can better improve our situation by appreciating to having like, how do we call like gratitude or thinking like, oh, I'm so lucky to have this. So we will have more happiness. So this understanding suffering, like the suffering of suffering and suffering of change is very important because this understanding permit us to find more happiness.
간데지 토그레 간데서 있다 통게 토그레 세비네 차바 두셰게 둥에신인데 셴버치고레스 차바 두셰게 둥에데 약보시 셴선에 되네 타두게 대화요바 통그레스 되네 타두게 대화 줍시게 람곰 다징만서 곰신인데 신에 되네 다곰 잔도로 째용거레스 어디 타두게 대화데 대토발에 차바 두셰 둥에 셴고레스.
So the last kind of suffering that we call the suffering pervading all the compounded phenomena, actually how to overcome this kind of suffering and to find the last kind of happiness that we talk about, this is the ultimate happiness. So this ultimate happiness we can find by removing this kind of suffering. So we have first to understand what is the subtle nature of suffering, and to overcome that through the power of meditation. So that's the meditation that we spoke about, that is able to overcome this last and the most important kind of problem in suffering.
딱 한다 나란조 둥에 고 미두바체 둥에 미두바 고 미두바 대화 툼두결로 슉첨부 줘리스 땡안조 때지 디기요 말레스 둥에 고 미두바다 톰 미두바 대화 툼두로데 때지 논주레스 초란조 된데 둥에 미두바다 대화 툼두로 고고 둥에 시비치 그랬어 둥에 시선에 둥에 고 둥의 시선에 되는 신의 전환도 토비하게 되와 토그를 된데 봐라 나는 저 둥의 시벌 전에 캡상여래로.
So I think mostly we all in the same situation. We don't want suffering, we want more happiness, but mostly people they don't like to hear or don't like to understand suffering. So I think this is what makes the problem or like an error, because the situation is that for sure we want happiness and we need happiness and we don't want suffering, but it's precisely through understanding what is suffering that we can after prevent that and to find happiness. So the understanding of suffering is a great foundation for looking for happiness.
다에네 둥에신이데 빼샤네 즉 군주베 차다오제 빼나 즉 뺀다오제 둥영문에 이제 가서디 대화신인데 다즉 빼지샤베네 대화신인데 간대지 요아래 빼나 라면에 메도라고지 빼샤네레스 메도라 마가니 수요 말와스 빼나 대화신인데 빼샤네 메도라고지 빼샤네레로다.
So just give an example. If we pose it as an example of happiness, a flower. I think most of us, we like flowers. So example of happiness here is the flower.
텐데베 메도데야 입당 카도 상와 데네베 잠바 티심바 베 당와 이초바 오 텐데게 메도다보지 베데 메도 텐데 샤니 디기요레로.
So for this example of happiness, we could say this is this flower that is very beautiful, nice color, nice shape, nice smell. It's very soft when we touch. Example, very inspiring and good-looking flower.
텐데베 메도 텐데 메도직 소소로 구비 유나 메도데 답사기 신 사디 야보지 고그레 사본 야보지 고그레 텔라 유구중이 야보지 고그레 와르데 텐데데 생아란도 대화 고게 되네 대화데 답세 시 사본 자와 텔라 다 여지진이지 고고요레스 메도 고나시레스 대화데.
So the happiness is compared here to the flower. So if you want this kind of flower, what do we need? We need first a seed. We need a place to plant, to sow the seed. After, we need also to put some water and some other things, and you need to work to make this flower grow.
텐데베 대화신 담당에 해야지 대화식이 메스 나 아니 심기 띵라 오 텐데 토비하게 대화지식이 요는데.
So in the same way, we need to put so many causes and conditions to find happiness. But this is an external example of the flower. But what I speak about finding happiness, not something outside. I talk about finding happiness inside.
오 텐데게 나 심기 띵라 대화데 토발라 대화데 제세 주 시다보디 남시체 라와 심기 띵라 제야체 텐데 심기 띵라 대화데 제발라 대화데게 사본 시럽 고베시 시럽 사본자 마이바 자와 투벌시베게 자와 닝제 사본 시럽다 자와 닝지체니 신 남시기 띵라 사본 안에 자와 안에 사본 시럽다 자와 닝지니 숭두 디네 텔라 냠네체네 다 이기 남시 띵라 대화데 따비아레스 담메도 막에는 그 따비아레스 대인도 발 땀네 야데다 냠네체 내줘바라니 텐데게 닝제다 시럽니 숭지체 가드네 야데 콜라 냠네체야데 어 거신 땀니럽드레스. Rani nejo badi sing tamye da dewa tamye da chawres.
So to put that with the example of the flower, so the ground, you know, the ground will where you will put the seed is like our mind, our consciousness. So the seed itself is like the wisdom, and the root of the flower is the compassion. So it's by planting, sowing into the field of our mind, the seed of wisdom and the root of compassion that we combine, that we practice two together. So like the person working in the field is like the meditator, is like the yogi, the meditator who tries to develop to achieve his flower. So he needs to practice compassion and wisdom.
Yeah. Tendawe yi namshi dingla ane sawon sherab dan zawa ningji gembe dawate ane rangula nyamne shendu bala gum jabindu bala tendege tige pene lokcho dabuji ya dawa ke mijingi lokcho niba dabode ane pena sawon dabode de goba dan chowa nyumba sawon goba 되게 짜와 중화 친구니라 된대게 대화데 라 심규를 맞다윈도 발라 된게 친구니라 미쇼베 템바데 시신고레스 다 칸단 된대게 디지 두발라 템바데 시신고레스 친구니라 미쇼바제 템바데 시신게 된대게 사본 시랍당 짜와 닝지데 베야 쫑어 지야게 템바데 시신고레스.
So like this, the meditator or the yogi needs to put into the field of his mind the seed of wisdom and to make grow the root of compassion and to make them grow. So he needs also to prevent the arising of bad seeds. That example here is mental agitation. And the root coming from this seed is like mental laxity. So to be able to prevent these things that will harm the other seed of going to happiness, we need to also develop the mindfulness and vigilance. So these two qualities will stop the arising of the bad seeds of agitation and laxity. So the plant of wisdom and compassion will grow easily.
Kadugla miteve digi simgula digi jabra chivala o tendege tempade shishinge bum di jagures tandengita bum shege yosta.
So if we want to have a very good kind of happiness that will not be disturbed by the mental afflictions and negative emotions, we need to use our mindfulness, vigilance, and for that we need to practice meditation.
Tende Chembade Shishinina Lo Jane Simde Chiloge Tendege Gobatan Namingla Madamba Jene Sim Nandu Jogbe Dingin Zinja Congress, Sim Nandu Jogbe Dingin Zinja Congress, Chembade Shishin Simbe Sim Nandu Joga Dingin Zinja Congress.
So by the practice of mindfulness and vigilance to overcome the presence of hindrance that are the mental agitation and laxity. So we will be able to put the mind inside, to focus the mind inside, and to practice concentration.
Tendawe sim nandu jogbe tingin zindi tobyala ane da le thambo manamji tezi kale khabu yores tela tezi bezon shures sim nandu jog tupsone tene ane gyundu tingin zindi So
if we are beginner, it will be a little bit hard also at the beginning to be able to focalize and focus the mind inside and place the mind inside in concentration. But with the experience, we will be able to, with the practice of mindfulness, vigilance, to make that more easy and also to continue to be able to have a longer period of concentration.
Tende dinge zindige gyundu ne tupsone tende dinge zintege ane yegi namshede 중화다 고바 고아 쇼기도 삼네 코란게 다 모션 거레스 심디스 제직도 네게도 네게 민두스 모션 거스다.
So slowly, when we are able to go a little bit deeper and to increase the duration of our concentration, we will manage to be able to perceive what is going on in the mind. Is the mind staying here? Is the mind going there? So we'll be able to see the workings of the mind.
텐데게 라니 다 심 치루라 초대바 모션게도네 테네 양자르 난도 주 종네 테네 삽삽체네 테네 갈레갈레 셈데 안에 소속에 제 친구라 마데네 냠보 때네 셈데 제 슈바르 체네 안에 텐데게 띵이 지예제 템부직 제투그레시 중화다 고발라 미쇼베 텐데게 띵이지 세자다 내자라 오 텐데게 진단 로 야보직 제그레에서 텔데네.
So when we are able to see that the mind is distracted to the external phenomena, so we can recognize slowly when we have this experience of mindfulness, vigilance, after we can bring it back inside, we can place it again inside, and after we can continue, and slowly we can increase to develop more and more mindfulness and vigilance, so our mind become more and more pacified, and we can keep the mind in a state of equal level of clarity and stability of the mind. So the mind can be staying with stability, but also is very clear.
텐데게 내자다 세자디니님보 야보지 네베 진단데 야몰렘도 바라 텔라데네 안에 루심 신장게 심베 텐데게 개발을 조베 준주 오 텐데 준주 텔라데네 신장의 데네 안에 다 신의 신통인 거레스 신의라 데네 작동토베요레스 몸니디 텐데레스.
So keeping the mind into this equality in stability and clarity with joyous effort, we will be able to achieve a very flexible mind and body. And this suppleness of the mind and body and the bliss also that it brings, so will permit our mind to abide very peacefully inside. That's what we call calm abiding.
신에단 학동되라 안을로 야보지 곰네 다 수소라 오 텐데게다 즉 펜도다 제부 야보시어레스 제부 상고시어레스 텐데게 실라라로 야보지 곰 솜네 다 펜요나 펜도시어레스 수소 제부지어레스.
If we have a very good experience in the practice of calm abiding and special insight, we will see tremendous benefits for our mind.
베네 초란도 내가 깔레 슈부지 카베 갑라 텐다베 초란이라 초란도라 실라기 안에 곰달라 로 야보지 곰도이네 텐데게 내가 강에 슈부지 태비나 텐데 강이랑 나와 샤게 말레스 심데 피게 시데다 어텐데 네드발라 텐데 내가 강에 첨부지 태비나 텐데게 나와데 주고 잡으디 용기 말레스.
So if we, for example, we had some difficult day, we had like some problems at the work, whatever. So if we can at this time do meditation, practice calm abiding and special insight, actually that will pacify this kind of things in our mind. So actually, even if there was big problem and big difficulty, it will not appear as a so much big thing in our mind.
난자 냠두 참두 메베강에 슉첨부직 체이브이나 초란도 로데 시네라 심 슈바라 야보직 곰데요네 텐데게 난자게 간요대야 강에 첨부라 주고 잡아 요 말레스. 초란 심디 시네라 곰데비인자 베네 초란게 부둑 초란게 부다 고모 부군냠들라 강에 슈부직 체이브이나 소속의 심데 즉 로 야보지 신에를 곰되네 텐데 강에 치료게 강에 가제 태비나 난sem나 텐데게 있는 용화 용기 말에서 에네 룰라 나자다보다 텐데게 지금 내림게 강의 시부지 룰에 탭이네야 심라 텐데게 곰게를 곰라 소소 용화 유베이네 룰라 나자 강의 숙참부지 탭이나 텐데게 나한테 시부지게 양을 심으래 텐도 봐라 곰신인데 까둑네 좁투야 수투야게 남직하게 말해서
So actually meditation has tremendous benefits also in daily life. For example, if we had some conflict with somebody, example in our family, at work, or with the children, or whatever. So if we have experience in the calm abiding and to place the mind in peace, if we have this experience, so even if there was a big situation, very difficult, so we will be able to manage inside and to bring back to peace. So the mind will not be heavy, because when we have these kind of problems, mind can become very heavy, like we have like a weight in on our shoulders. But when we have experience in this meditation, so we will not feel heavy, we will feel light. The same way, if we had some physical sickness, physical pain, also that usually would make people very unhappy and very happy, very heavy, you know, like in their body or their mind. So if we have experience in meditation on calm abiding, this would be easy to come back to peace inside. So there's very, very great benefit in daily life from meditation.
Yeah, then I check and Anzogi and check and Nangbe, Tendegi, check Gomla, Zigji, Kanjigi, Tendegi, Keva, Kamalashilak, in the Sunshores. Two Tadu, Shineda, Tagdona Zomber Cha, Sunshores, two Tadu Sunshores.
There's the great Indian master Kamalashila, who went to teach in Tibet, who said in every time, in every situation, make effort to develop calm abiding and special insight.
Tema sebe, tendege, ane, donana tende sungshores, donana, rigi pus, nege chu tamje, lam tamje, duni nisu duba is, teni, shinedan lakdo sungshores, ya chambas, choranzone tendege, je nege chu dije zomba ine, tendege, shinedan lakdo no zomba chas, sanjege ya, kaduina, shilanila zons, sungshudoks.
So the Buddha himself also in many sutras expressed that when he speaks to his students, say sons and daughters of the lineage, all my teachings are included into these two. These two are calm abiding and special insight. And also addressing to his student Maitreya, says Maitreya, you should make effort into calm abiding, special insight. So he mentions that regularly, that all his teachings are included into these two qualities.
Yeah, Tendubala, tak nege, Tiringshage, Miyunda, ene Choranzo, ene, Jek Gum Jayala, Te, Choranzo, Tonando, Jetubene, Choranzo, Se Goyage, Dungetea, Gumji Se Tugres. Choranzo, Kaduina, Dubala, Goyage, Digitea, Gumla Dene. Top to do, stand on Aranzogi, Lakjai, Yakshu, Dume Seya, Dewa Duvia de Gom Reshasta, Yeg, some little tangy doos, and he tried to Karichigina, Molom Jabdegina, degrees.
So my main goal today was to explain you the benefits of meditation, so you can have more and more interest for meditation by understanding that we don't want problems and we don't want pain and suffering and difficulty. So we can reduce this negative aspect in our life by meditation. And we also want the opposite, only more and more happiness and well-being. And also meditation can very greatly help for that. So, but after, it's your own choice. If you like to do or not do, or you like to pray or whatever, it's your choice.
Gumdi Cheju Nideres. Dunge several chia. There were Druid chia, the Rishasta.
Meditation has two characteristics: eliminating suffering and creating happiness.
저런 쪽에네 곰자기 인수도라 믹좀 대신에 팽거 말다세.
So if you're interested in meditation, if you think I will just sit and close my eyes, it will not be enough.
야, interesting요레스 산제게네 텐데기 곰자발랑원 투삼닝모도 로고레스 저런도 탭로야다보다. 안에 제 녀야다보 텐데다. 안에 삼로도야다보 투삼닝모도 쳔네 신의 곰자고를 마도베 투삼 매발라 곰용게 말다스. 텐데 곰잡데베네 투두 촐라데스.
So Buddha mentioned that before we do actual meditation, he encourages by telling we should first do the two activities of hearing and thinking. So hearing means studying by reading books, by listening teachings. So after we think about them, so if we don't do these two preparatory stages of learning and thinking, it will not achieve our purpose. We will not meditate in the correct way. So we will be a little bit like losing our time.
Yeah. Pene shan nangala pubala, shobani gugurabas, shobani john shodine, chaputugu marabas, shobani john shodine, nangala putugu marabas, tena shenge, tosamni matane, gumja yomaris, gumja laksha yakshode, tosam yingondun drone. For
example, the bird wants to fly, but if he doesn't have his two wings, even if he has a great desire to fly, if he has only one or he has no wing, he cannot fly. In the same way, if we want to meditate, we need the two wings of learning and reflection. That's necessary.
근데 곰자발아야 땡원랑 안에 초란족이 루지 제게네 짤룽 야마데 유야게 체드 루데야 즉 약보시 되고래요.
Also, when we practice meditation, we should also have a good posture that will help for a good circulation of energy in the energy channels.
공룡대야 보시고 그랬어.
Also, motivation is very important.
대마세베 튠쟁게 텐데게 두즈디야 소소 때우로 마더베 공게 추 두즈 리저베이션 지금 말다스 소소게 파 안에 리저브 안에 두즈데 소소 파시고 그래서
we have also to
소소
put
때우레스
we have also to put all the conditions to put them into place, because example time, if we say I will wait for time, time will never call you to say, okay, now it's the time to meditate. We have to make the time and we have to decide when we do, example.
텐데 공자발아야 소소게 생감 리베터네 생감돼야 약대 값되는 공자고래스 생감 로 당화 때제 로라 누바다 로 제 세부 유배 값을 공자고로 마도베 생감돼 마데네 뇨 뉴몽발라 쇼베 값라 고미용게 말다세.
So also we should practice meditation at certain moment when our mind is really in the good shape, you know, because if we try to meditate at the moment we are the most sleepy or we are very much afflicted by some negative thoughts and we try to meditate at this time, it will not be effective.
아니 루감대야 소소게네 치게 다 중화 어텐데게 에네 중화대도 약보지 인양바 루감 대버지고 그래.
Also, our body should be also in good situation also.
야, 안에 란냠도 텐데게 초보디게 대한 제 초상보지고 그랬어.
Also, to practice meditation, it's most effective also if we can do with good friends.
초상보신이 대한 치기 민마이마 난게 템바데 시신이데 약수식 ten신이데 약보지고 그랬어.
But the best kind of friends is not external friends. It's inside your mindfulness and vigilance.
다 되네네. 나란족이 가두이나 뉴몽베게 뉴몽베 샹와도 침베 텐데게 도샤대야 제 가두이나 데스 소소고 도바 첨바치고 그래요.
Also, we should have a state of mind that is satisfied, not going too much under the power of afflictions, being always wanting more and more.
텐데게 도미베 직den게 차와대야 데지 융지시고 했어. 몸라 도바 유네다야. 몸 잔도 요베네 도미베 직den 차와대 융지시고 했어.
Also, we should try to have less interest into too much superficial activities. There are external activities that we need to do that are very beneficial, but some are sometimes useless. So we should give less interest into these kind of things.
안에 두다도 룽아 이송게 소소게니 좁아대야 강 상상지시고레지 좁아 강즉 상고시도지고레스.
And with our body, speech, and mind during all day, we should try to be always in a positive attitude.
텐데 공장이 토야 텐데게 즉 치게 두배 남도라 속바 강융융시고레스.
And also we should try to have less many kinds of conceptual thoughts.
텐데 튠제 창소네 안에 신내생인데 다 둘라 안에 톱시브레스다.
We say that if all these conditions are together, we can achieve calm abiding into a period of few months, like 6 months.
텐데 신내 톱소네 때는 다 학동레스.
So if we have calm abiding, we can also practice on top of that special insight.
오달 학동 되게 땅아란족이 배 둥행게 싸와 안에 덴바두바짐베 딘지 마릭바텔라 냠보테네 안에 나란족이 고야게 타두게 대화 토비하게 람 락자데 학동레스.
So the way to overcome the root of all our problems, suffering, which is the ignorance grasping to a self, is the wisdom that realizes selflessness. So that's the work of special insight.
Yeah. 땅아란족의 남주 에너지게 protection라고 좀 망고지 라게도 왔어. 땅아란족의 둥행게 좀니다 둥행에다 간다래 야 숭녀라버데 다 실라니です. 실라니인데 학배 남직 다 요마르스.
So we usually say, I need some kind of protection, but actually the best kind of protection is calm abiding and special insight. So we will stop here for today.
Thank you so much. This sharing today's this privilege with you. I love more than more speak English. But today I talk Tibetan language. Anyway, I'm so happy this is sharing with you, you know. Today we're talking to be happy, happiness, how to get happiness by meditation. We don't lack problems, sufferings, how to liberate sufferings, problem by meditation. What is important? It is meditation is important. How to meditate? What is important? Mindfulness and vigilance most important. This mindfulness, vigilance, we keep to concentrate to get calm abiding. Calm abiding to help you and wisdom. This wisdom, all the problems solution. We say, and Buddhist philosophy, there is nothing problem without antidote.
Without solution.
Solution. What is the solution? Wisdom. Wisdom, which method? Calm abiding. How to get calm abiding? Mindfulness, vigilance. That's it. You know, this is, I think, easy job. We do easy job now. We need to be happy. We never job, never salary, you know. If you need a good salary, we good job. So thank you so much. You just listen to my topic. Thank you. I do small chanting, Tibetan, you know, inner peace, this meditation chanting. Chanjuk semjo rembo che ma je bana je 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 jawa nyamba me ba yang kong ne kong de pe wara sho pama semje damje de da de je je ngen ro damje da du dong ba chanjuk semba kana su shu ba de da gun je mon lom drup jur je. Thank you so much. If you busy, no problem, you can go back. If you some question with my friend Jason, He's here. Depends your time. Thank you so much.
Merci, Lama.
Yeah.
Merci, Lama.
Tuche, Lama.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tuche, Jason.
Welcome,
Yes.
welcome.
Merci beaucoup.
Bye.
Un plaisir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Lama. Bye.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, merci.
Merci.
Thank you, Lama.
Merci
Thank you,
beaucoup.
Jason.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Thank you, Lama.
Tu vois, c'est beaucoup de questions.
Thank you.
Thank
Hi,
you.
I have a question, please.
Yes, yes, tell me.
What did he mean by conceptual thoughts when he talked about meditation and trying to eliminate conceptual thoughts? What did he mean by that?
Yeah, because you know, like there's two kind of meditation. Is one where we try to just achieve peace of mind, calm abiding. One is special inside. There is analysis. So when we do analysis in the meditation, thoughts is not a problem. It's just direct with the good thought. But when we do meditation on calm abiding, we try to achieve concentration and inner peace. So in this situation, any kind of thoughts arising is some problem. So we try to slowly stop them and concentrate on specific object. So that's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Jason.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jason.
Bye. Yeah, you too.